I'm going to London in the morning.
I was nervous, to be honest, that when I arrived, it was only going to be people from the US.
I think that I have found my best charity shop find ever. It literally looks like somebody blew up a wardrobe in here.
As you can see, it is a pretty big space.
Beyond that, you're welcome to just take up some space, take this 20 minutes for yourself.
Leg lift.
Coming into single leg stretch, pull up, stick with it.
As well. And I'm not saying everything I have to do is the most difficult stuff in the world. Like, a lot of it is social events, going to London, seeing friends. It's just... So I'm going to London in the morning. I have a in real life live Peloton class booked at Peloton Studios with Ali Love, and I'm real excited about it. I think I've packed pretty much everything that I can for tonight. I feel not like everything's last minute, but I do feel a little bit less prepared than I usually do for a trip, and I have consulted my normal packing list and I do feel like I've packed everything that I can at this point. So I don't know what the issue is, but I have had a couple of weeks that have felt pretty overwhelming, just pretty much non-stop, even just with like having a lot of little things. So I'm excited for a little bit of a trip away, and I feel like this is the point, like the lead up has felt really hectic, and while the trip is going to be active, we are also going to be extending it to go stay with some friends that live like down near Brighton. It's going to be an active trip, there's going to be a lot happening, but it's just a little break away from work and responsibilities. So I'm looking forward to that aspect of it, and I am hoping to come back a little bit refreshed. So I do want to be making a dent in my TBR. I want to be getting through my TBR. My goal, if you saw my TBR video, was that I don't want to talk about any of those books in a TBR video again. So my goal is to chip away as much as possible throughout the month of December. So we are going to be starting off with the book that's been on my TBR the longest, which is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I am reading this one physically. This is an old ass book. Like, this is one of the books that I've owned the longest as well. My ex-boyfriend's grandmother gifted this to me for Christmas, and me and Curtis just celebrated our 8-year anniversary. So I've had this one a long time. I did start it this morning, but I'm only 26 pages in. I was reading a lot to get the last vlog finished before I went away, so I'm actually taking today where like I'm not really worrying too much about how much I've read. This one is historical fiction set in World War II. It's narrated by Death, and it follows a girl who I think is trying to save the books from being burned by the Nazis. It's one of those kind of like timeless books that pretty much everyone has read and the majority of people love. And then the other book that I'm going to be hopefully chipping away at, I need to chip away at it, is Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan. So the live show for this one, we have just announced or finalized the date today. It's going to be on the 17th of December, and it is a 993 page book. I have started listening to it. The first chapter, the prologue, is over 3 hours long on single speed. Like, it is a 74 page prologue. So I'm like halfway through that. I'm 32 pages in. I need to be reading 50 pages a day to have it done for the live show. You guys know I just chip away at these slowly until they're done, and that's the best way for me to get through the Wheel of Time series. I am a little bit worried though, because I am going away. Reading 50 pages of Wheel of Time is not going to be my priority. So I'm currently actually on sprints with Leanne from Literary Diversions. It is the last couple of days of Mixtape-a-thon, even though like I've already finished all of my books for the readathon. At the beginning of November, I ran out of one of the colours for my genre blanket, where I like knit a row for the genre of every book that I have read throughout the year. This one is going to run into 2 years though, because it's not growing as fast as last year's did. But I ran out of one of the colours, so that brought that to a halt, and the wool arrived today. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the audio for this on, and I'm going to catch up with my blanket, which I think is going to be about 10 rows. It's going to take me a little while because they're quite long rows, and just chip away a little bit of that. And then I might play some Fortnite or watch some TV before bed. Like I said, reading is not my biggest priority today. I just wanted to get this vlog off to a start. What are you doing? I'm so excited to not be here anymore, but I just thought I would get this vlog started. started, and I guess we can consider mission accomplished.
It's the end of the year. Everywhere on TV, cookies and Christmas trees, gift wrapping and cheer. Just the worst time to be with someone special. In all the movies there, kissing in the snow, holding hands and mittens, but they don't play. Oh, I like the movies when I'm walking in the snow, cold hands and mittens. I dream of December nights, kissing on the bright lights, snowflakes in my head, carols playing in the air. I dream of December nights, kissing under bright lights. Oh, and we have sleigh bells in the
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of new faces. How many new people do we have?
sweaters and lace, dressed up alone on the couch during cold winter days.
Aw, how many folks are literally live here? Like I live here. Oh great, fantastic. I was nervous, to be honest, that when I arrived it was only gonna be people from the US. Folks from the UK would be like, no, I'll pass. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey guys, I just got back to the hotel after my Peloton ride, and I just wanted to let you guys know that it was everything that I hoped it would be and more. I met Ali Love. It was such a surreal experience. I remember like the whole thing just flew by, and I got to like 5 minutes to the end and I was like, oh my god, like I'm actually here. Like I'm literally here right now, and I couldn't believe it. But I just had such a good time. I wish I could do that every day, to be honest. It would be very expensive and not at all realistic, but it would be a very good time. I will link the ride. I don't know if I can, I don't know how to do this, but if I can, I will link the ride down in the description box in case you guys are curious and you want to take it. It is a 30-minute hip-hop ride with Ali Love from the 30th of November at 7:30, because I know you guys, you Peloton girlies, can find it through that. I do need to talk to you guys about books at some point, maybe in the morning, we'll see. But right now, I just want to get my makeup off. I want to shower, because I should have showered at the studios. They had real nice stuff, like they had Dyson hair dryers and straighteners and stuff, but I didn't, so I'm gonna shower now. And I also picked up a new set that Curtis is, well, I got it. He's gonna give me the money back and give it to me for Christmas, but I need to try it on just to make sure that it fits, because the sports bra is a different style to the green one that I have on. Good morning guys, we are going to be leaving London today. We're going to Brighton for the weekend. We're not actually staying in Brighton, we're staying like a little bit of the way up the coast, but we're going to be staying with friends until Monday. So I haven't actually read anything since I got off the train on, what day was that? Was that Wednesday, I think? But I did make it a little way of the way into the Book Thief. I'm on page 110, and I think I'm on around 130 pages into Lord of Chaos as well. I'm kind of alternating between 50 pages of this to one chapter of Wheel of Time. That did put me a little bit ahead on Lords of Chaos, but I am actually now behind, because I should be on, I think, page 200 by the end of the day, which realistically is unlikely to happen, but I'm gonna have to just play catch up when I get home. But the Book Thief, I'm kind of enjoying. It's kind of slow. It's definitely not my usual type of book as well, which we all knew when I was going into it. So while I am interested as the story goes on, like I wasn't compelled from the outset with this. I'm not sure how I feel about the writing style at the minute. It is narrated by Death, and it goes into like these little asides. So like the kids will have an inside joke almost, and then there'll be like a breakaway where it explains the inside joke. And I think that the book is broken down into the books that the Book Thief steals. I think Death said that there's like 14 in total, and each section of the book is one of those books. And I guess the point of this book is a picture of the Book Thief's life in Nazi Germany as opposed to anything else. So the way of like the structure through which the story is told is broken down into all of the books that the Book Thief steals. But at the minute, when we're in like not necessarily her early life, she is young, but I think she's young for the entirety of this. She's about 10, I think, at the minute. I'm excited for the story to get going a little bit more. Now saying that, I don't necessarily know if it is going to get going, because it is, I think, going to be more of a portrait of Nazi Germany as opposed to anything else. So we'll see how far into this I get today. Look how old this copy is grim. But I think that well, the train's only an hour, so I'm probably not going to get that much ride, but if I can make it to like 150 going on towards like page 200, that would be pretty decent. I'm home now and I feel like I'm sounding a little gnarly. I know I'm looking a little gnarly. The reason why I'm sounding gnarly is because I have had a cold. My 6th cold of the year actually. I am actually feeling a lot better than I did on Saturday and Sunday. I woke up on Saturday. It was not a good time, but I'm feeling much better. I've just been like dosing myself up with Lemsip and moving through it. The weather is horrible. It has been horrible all weekend, like freezing in November. It has been a long time since I've seen that, and apparently there was snow up here, which I'm really thankful that I've missed. But we got home after a horrible train journey where our first train from Brighton was 24 minutes late and we had in total 28 minutes to change from St Pancras to King's Cross. We obviously missed our train, and then the next one was in 2 hours, so we sat around for 2 hours and got home at 5:30 instead of 3:30, and then I went out in the rain to go pick up Hamilton while Curtis got Brie. So I'm looking a little frazzled, and I'm also feeling a little frazzled, which I will get to in a minute. Exciting things first, I do have a book haul. Went a little bit crazy. Also got a couple of jigsaws with no regard of how I was going to carry these home, and it was a struggle. But I did pick up a couple of books. 4 actually, I keep forgetting about one of them. So we'll go from least exciting to most exciting, because I think I have peaked with my thrifting. I think that I have found my best charity shop find ever. But we'll start with the less interesting stuff. So the first thing I found, Beth took us to this massive charity shop. It's like a charity shop warehouse, and they had so many books. So the first one that I picked up was The Dry by Jane Harper. I don't know anything about this apart from it's about a guy who is an investigator, and Leanne said that she thinks that I will really like this one. It's a thriller, I think. So I don't normally go out and buy thrillers new, so I have been looking for this for a couple of weeks, and I did believe that it is a pretty common one. But since it was a recommendation from Leanne and I do want to get to it, I thought I would pick it up now, because I know the longer it goes without me getting it, the less likely I am to ever actually get it. I did also, if you've been in my Patreon live shows recently, you will know that down south they had a couple of Waterstones editions left with Throne of the Fallen, because I actually did not order the Fairy Loot edition of this. And you know, I actually do prefer the Waterstones, because I think that this, like the spine, is more in keeping with the rest of like the Kingdom of the Wicked series. This one is a spin-off, and if you're familiar with Kingdom of the Wicked, you'll know that it predominantly follows of the Princes of Hell, it predominantly follows Wrath, and I believe that this one is about Envy. I have no idea if it is a like standalone or if it's part of a series. I don't know whether we're going to get like individual books from the rest of the princes or something. I feel like that could be the case, and this is like solely based on the fact that this one is considerably bigger than the rest of the Kingdom of the Wicked series. The reason why I wasn't in a massive rush to get this when it was released is because it had been a while since I read Kingdom of the Wicked. But if you've been following my vlogs recently, you will know, I think in the last one, no, the one before actually, I actually continued on with that series, and I do still like it. So while they had Waterstones editions available in one of the Waterstones that I was visiting over November /
beginning of December, I thought that I would pick this one up, and I have finally now run out of Waterstones points. I was hoarding them for a long time. I had £60 of points to spend, and over the last 2 weeks I have got through those. I then picked up at, this one's from Dave's Comics in Brighton, which is a pretty cool comic book store. This is a release that I knew was coming out and I kept forgetting about, so while I saw it on the shelf, I was like, let's do the damn thing, and I picked up Saga Volume 11. Y'all know Saga is one of my, well, it is my favorite comic series actually, and it's like a sci-fi Romeo and Juliet set in space. We're following two aliens. One of them is from a planet, the other one is from the moon that orbits the planet, and they fall in love. They're not supposed to because the planet and the moon are at war, but they fall in love, they get married, they have a kid, and they're constantly being hunted down by the people, like the government from where they're from, and this is the story of their child. So I read the first 9 volumes in this series years ago, and I actually reread them last year because the creators have been on hiatus for I think it was 3 years in total. Volume 10 came out, not my favorite. Volume 11 has just been released. I just don't think, the reason why I kept forgetting about this is that I just truly don't think Saga will ever be the same again based on what happens, like the cliffhanger that they left it on when they went on hiatus. So far I do still feel that way, and I do feel like potentially they were on hiatus for so long because it's hard to come back from where that story left off, but I will see it through, and I'm excited to see kind of like the peaks of the second half of this story. And then the exciting one, the one that I truly cannot believe that I found, I might buy a I actually think I should buy a dehumidifier for this room actually. Not that it's damp, it's just I want to protect my books, and this book in particular requires its very own dehumidifier because I found an Ark of the Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I have never been more shook. It's rare to find arcs of things like big epic fantasy things, like a Brandon Sanderson arc, literally never seen one. Obviously I wasn't blogging at the time that these books were released anyway, but also nobody was really, because this is a 2007 release, and this is a proof from 2007 of one of the biggest fantasy releases of all time in immaculate condition. We have some creasing in the spine. Look at those pages. Compare these to the pages of The Book Thief, which I don't have on me right now, but you've seen me reading, which is a book that I've had for about 8 years, compared to this like 16-year-old proof. So you could say that I was shook, and you can also say that I snapped this up. I think this cost me £1. Not even, I was gonna say £1.50. It was £1 or £1.50. I'm pretty sure this was £1, and I'm still shocked about it. So that was my book haul. In terms of reading actually, because I did just mention The Book Thief, I have read nothing while I've been away. The reason why I haven't checked in over the weekend actually is because we did absolutely nothing and it was great. We went out, we ate at a few places, we had a look around town, but aside from that, we just hung out, which is really fun. That's what I want to do, especially with my friends that live so far away. Like, there's always the temptation to make every visit like an event, but it's nice to just do nothing. So like the boys played cards pretty much for the entire weekend, and we played Dead by Daylight, and it was a great time. But I also did no reading. Part of that was because of my cold, like I just was not in a headspace to focus on words. I have made up for that a little bit on the way home. I've listened to another couple of chapters of Wheel of Time. I'm not sure because the book is still in the case and I haven't unpacked yet. I'm not sure exactly where I'm up to with that, but I would estimate around page 180, which ideally I would be on page 300 today to be done in time for the live show, so I do need to play catch up. And The Book Thief, I just hit page 250. Now, Wheel of Time is so-so. It's a slow start, but some interesting elements are coming to the forefront. The Book Thief is going a lot slower than I expected it to. I feel like around maybe the page 180 mark, we had an element introduced to the story that will potentially be the main focus. But this whole story, like, I know it's not supposed to be, as far as I'm aware, some big epic plot with like big moments within the story. It's more of like a contemplative novel, but I'm not loving it. I don't love the writing style, and I'm not really sure where it's going. I'm happy to put it down and kind of like set it aside. I will see it through because, like I said, I know that this, or as far as I'm aware, my assumptions going into this and as I've been reading it, is that it is more of a slow contemplative novel. So I will see it through to the end, but at the minute I'm not seeing the hype with that one. That being said, World War II, World War I, and the Victorian era are my least favorite historical periods to read about. I don't know why. I think it's because there's just so much media set in those time periods. I'm not saying that it's overdone, I'm just saying that I've seen a lot of it, and as somebody who doesn't read a whole ton of historical stuff, doesn't have a whole ton of interest in historical stuff, it doesn't necessarily appeal to me the most. And something that I really enjoy about the historical stories that I have really loved is learning more about the time period. And while I am still doing that while reading The Book Thief, I feel like that is not my driving force reading it as it has been when I've read previous historical novels, because it's, hey baby, it's a time period that I just generally have seen a lot more, so my base knowledge of that time period is a little bit more than it would be of, say, 15th century Russia, which I don't even know if that is the century that The Bear and the Nightingale is set in, but it is sometime around that 100-year period. I am going to be running this vlog until the end of the week, and by the end of the week I mean Friday, because the Lightfall readathon, which is the Christmas like mini magical readathon, is starting on Saturday, and I plan, because it's like a week with 2 weekends in for that readathon, I plan on making a vlog for that. So we're gonna go until then. One of the reasons is because I haven't really read anything, and I would like to have caught up with where I need to be for Wheel of Time, and also have finished The Book Thief by the time we get to that point. We have had a little bit of a spanner thrown in the works though, because if you've been following the saga of my bedroom and how we started stripping wallpaper for that in November last year, so I've had no wallpaper on the walls for a year now, and it's through no fault of our own. We needed to get the roof fixed, which took I think about 9 months between us getting a quote and them actually coming to do the work. We've also had the joiner in to replace like a window frame and a door, and then we also needed the plastering done. So all of that stuff has taken us up to the last couple of months. It was like August when the joinery work was done, and we tried to get in touch with the plasterer, who came and gave us a quote last month. Now, when we agreed to the work being done, they booked us in for the 11th of December, and while we were away, they sent a message and asked if we were still up for the work being done next week. So I was like, do you mean next week as in like the 11th? Because that's what was supposed to happen. And they wanted to start today. So obviously we weren't home, but they are going to be starting on Wednesday. My bedroom is the biggest room in the house, and we need to empty that tomorrow. And I also need to pre-film all of my videos that are going to be going up in the time, or need to be filmed in the time that they're doing that work, because I can't film when I have like the plaster and the joiner in and out of the house all the time. So I don't know what we're doing tonight. I don't know whether we're going to start clearing the bedroom. It's just, I don't know where anything's gonna go, because we have very limited storage in this house, and the bedroom's the biggest room, so it's not like we have a spare bedroom we could like squash everything into. The spare bedroom has a single bed and a bookshelf in it, and that's pretty much all that fits in it. Oh, and an end table. So I don't know whether we're gonna do that, or whether we're gonna chill, or whether Curtis is gonna get some work done. But I do know, regardless, that tomorrow morning I'm gonna be filming, and the rest of tomorrow I'm going to be trying to condense all of upstairs into my spare bedroom, which is a box room. So I will show you, I think, some of the process of that. Maybe what it looks like, because I want to obviously document the experience of like doing the bedroom, because this is the first room in the house that we've like done from scratch, because when we moved in we just like painted over like all of the wallpaper and stuff that was already up. This is the first room that we've like stripped all the wallpaper, done structural repairs, replaced like a ton of woodwork, because the skirtings are also being all ripped out and replaced. And then afterwards we're going to have coving and like a ceiling rose put up. Then obviously there's the decorating stage, which I'm hoping to do in January, and we're also replacing all of the furniture, because all of the furniture that's in there, it's all mismatching. It's all stuff that we brought from my dad's when we moved like 4 years ago. So I will show you some of that at some point, but my brain is a little fried having to, because normally if I've been on a trip I take a day to decompress. I do not have a day. I can maybe decompress on Wednesday, but tomorrow is go go go. So we'll figure something out with that, and I will let you know when I have any reading updates or progress updates on my bedroom. We decided to do the bedroom, and it's been 90 minutes. It's 8:30 now. We started I think around 7, and I'm actually pretty impressed with what we've managed to do. So I'm going to show you my new bedroom for however long it takes for the plastering to be done, which is my box room, and it's a tight fit. So I'll close the door to give me a bit more space. I'm actually really happy with the bed, which is super cozy. So this is it. The bed, I love sleeping against the wall. We also have a radiator, so we're going to be hella toasty. This is also the room that the boiler's in, so once again, hella toasty. We got one set of drawers from the bedroom in here. This is one that I'm going to probably, like, the sides and the front are okay. So I think eventually what I'm going to do is sand this top and maybe paint it. Either that or just like sand it and varnish it, because it is like, it's an old piece of furniture. And the drawers, I was thinking of maybe painting the front of these 3 drawers and removing the knobs, but we'll see. That is like a project for far in the distance. But we got one in. My puzzle board's down here. This is going to go further over here eventually. It's just this is currently still got space in it, so we want to leave room to be able to stash more stuff in it. And then you turn around, this is my special edition bookshelf, which is still tucked in the corner there. This is the spare bed because it won't fit anywhere else. So here it is in pieces. It's not the prettiest bed, but this mattress is really, really comfy, so I begrudge getting rid of it just for the sake of aesthetics. Curtis has gone to work now, because by gone to work, I mean gone to his office. He has over 300 outstanding orders, so he's cracking on with that. I've put some food in the oven, just like freezer food, for the sake of us actually eating something today. But the hallway, we've added, this is from the bedroom. We've put it on top of the bedding box. These were on the floor next to the bookshelf in the spare room, so they've gone up there for now, although I can move them if we do end up needing that space. We're going to put Curtis's, he has like a shoe rack that we're going to put down here and move this stuff somewhere. We have this stuff on the landing which needs tidying away. Those 2 shoe boxes are going to be binned, and that is going in. It's the only thing that we can fit back into here. It was next to the spare bed in that corner, so we're going to put that here. But anything else, and the door won't close because, as you can see, we have limited room to start off with. And then we are going to do the rest. It's so echoey in here now. We're going to do the rest of the bedroom tomorrow, which I'm not even going to show you because it literally looks like somebody blew up a wardrobe in here. Like, the suitcase that we came back with is in the middle of the floor. This headboard we will not be keeping. It's got like the end tables attached to it, so I don't know whether we're going to store it for now. We're going to take it apart because the end tables like screw on, but this is big, so I think we might try and donate it because there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what we're going with. But the walls, I've been living with these walls for like a year now. The main bit of plastering that's being done is like over here, so they're doing the main bit of work here, skimming all of this plasterboard on the ceiling for the fine cracks, replacing all of the super old skirting which has wiring. Does that wiring? No, it's my eyes playing tricks on me. There's nothing there. Then my closet is over here. That's some more terrible plasterwork. He's replacing, I think, the door frame on this. So I will show you guys what this room looks like when we have finished emptying it. We just need to get those 2 sets of drawers. I think one is going in the one cupboard that we have at the top of the stairs, and the other one we're going to try and squeeze in my closet, but I don't know if it's going to work. And then the washing baskets are going to go probably in the bathroom. Also won't fit there, but what can you do? And we have quite a few loads of laundry to do now that we've come back with essentially a full suitcase full of dirty clothes. But yeah, this is a big ass room to try and condense, and this is the reason that I haven't bought any furniture, because my drawers and my clothes are now literally falling apart because I have too many clothes, to be fair, and I squeeze them all into the drawers. I've done it to myself. But every time somebody says to me, well, why don't you get new drawers? It's because I knew that this was happening, and the more furniture that I buy for that room, the more things that I have to try and stash somewhere. So I didn't want to invest in all of this like new furniture, bigger furniture, fill the room, make it look halfway nice, knowing that this had to happen. And my ambitious project, okay, now that we have this set up in here, my Christmas, I don't work over Christmas, or I try not to. I do still have to keep on top of videos somewhat, but there won't be any candle making going on. So my only social plans, I thought I had something on between Christmas and New Year that I don't. So literally the only thing that I'm doing across the entire Christmas and New Year period, as far as I'm aware right now, is going to my dad's on Christmas Day. I'm thinking that I might just blast through that bedroom. I'm thinking that when the plastering and the skirting is done, I might order the paint, although we're gonna have to get samples because I think we're maybe painting it black, which is very exciting but very intimidating to me. So I think that I might try and blast through it over the Christmas period, because even if I put all of that stuff back in there and started it all in January as planned, I would then have to take everything back out of the room and get it all back into here to have the carpet changed, because the carpet in there is pink and I'm not keeping a pink carpet. So we'll see how much energy I have, whether I want a project over Christmas, because I tend to just lie around and do nothing over Christmas and I love it, but I think that's the most efficient, like the best use of my time would be to, while that room is empty, because we can't stay in here long term, this is ridiculous, so we kind of want that bit done as fast as possible. Maybe I could do it over Christmas, I don't know. We have into January as well. I have a lot of videos to make in January and also pre-filming for February, but I'm definitely thinking about it. I do feel bad for Hamilton though, because we have a no pets in the bedroom policy, and it's the only room in the house that like Brie and Hamilton are not allowed in, is our bedroom. So the spare room is his, like he sleeps on the spare bed and he's lost his bedroom, and I feel so mean. Oh Bubba, I'm sorry. Speaking of, I'm gonna have to remove him before anybody finds out that he's here. In all of the excitement, I forgot that I haven't been home for the beginning of December, so I haven't had my advent calendar. I don't think I'm gonna eat 4 blocks of cheese right now. I think that's a little bit much, but I think I might do too. I have had a cheese advent calendar before. They are very, very good. And I mean, any excuse to eat cheese, am I right? So number 1 is up here, and that is, oh, a red Leicester, an aged red Leicester. Okay, these are bigger, I feel, than I thought they were, but it's fine, we can make it work. I need to get some crackers for the rest, if they're going to be a little bit bigger. Number 2 is here, and this one is just cheddar. Given the size of these, I think I'm definitely only going to do 2, because 4, it's just, I mean, I really could, but I think it's for the best that I don't. So we finished the bedroom last night, and I just wanted to come in and get some kind of decent before shots in the daylight before the work starts. As you can see, it is a pretty big space, which is why it was so difficult to stash everything that was in here somewhere else. So we have had the door replaced, that's already been done. The only thing that we couldn't get out of this room was this, because we could have taken it apart and stashed the end tables, but we have nowhere kind of big enough to put the headboard. We will be replacing that when we get a new bed and stuff anyway, so if it gets a little bit of plaster on it, it's not a big deal. But this is what we're working with. This is my closet. I haven't emptied this, I've just left this old gauze covering it. So hopefully that will protect everything that's inside while they're doing the work. And the radiator, we're keeping, because there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, aesthetically, I'd like a different one, but this is functional, it works. It keeps everything warm, so I'm not gonna get a new one for no reason. Good evening, guys. I think I've left my tripod upstairs, so this setup is a little bit precarious, but I did just want to bring you like somewhat of an update. I've just done my yoga and Pilates for the day, which I normally like to do that in the morning, but I had no idea what time the guys, like the plasterer, was going to turn up this morning. The work has begun on the bedroom. The ceiling has been plasterboarded, and he's brought a bunch of wood in, which I honestly don't even know what that's for, because it's not like, it's like timber beams, almost like just normal timber. So I have absolutely no idea, but that has begun, and he said that he'll be back tomorrow morning, which means I don't know what I'm going to do about my workout, because I am doing sprints with my patrons tomorrow, which means that I would usually do it in the morning, but my worst nightmare would literally be the plasterer turning up in the middle of my workout. So we'll see if I'm brave enough to try and squeeze that in before he arrives. I've been really, with how cold it's been in the morning, with how cozy that setup we've got going on upstairs, I have been struggling to get out of bed, but also I did need the sleep because I am like recovering from a cold still. Feeling much better now though. In terms of reading, I'm not feeling better though. I don't love The Book Thief. I'm, I think, 300 pages in now, and actually the more it goes on, like, just the less interested in it I am. And I know that it's like this heartbreaking emotional piece of literature, but it's just not what I like to read about. And I feel like it is, I don't know what the end goal is, and it's narrated by Death, and he keeps saying like, this is the end, this is what we're working up to, but I don't understand like what's filling in the end. Like, I don't understand the events necessarily leading up to this end, which I guess is supposed to be the driving force when you're reading this book, like what happens between the situation that the main character Liesel is in now, which yes is precarious, and this big end event. And obviously like the war is responsible because that's the backdrop of this. We're in Nazi Germany, and I think I'm around, am I like 1942 at the minute potentially? But I'm just not compelled. Like, I'm not compelled. And the writing actually does something that really annoys me, and it is just a style like Erin Morgenstern does it, but there's like constant references to the colour of the sky when things happen, which is fine I guess, but then it'll say stuff like, there was one to do with eyes, and I really can't remember what the quote is, but it's just like words that don't make sense to convey a feeling. But I am not that kind of person. Like, if it's not a thing, it's not a thing. It's like, you know, the book, the J. Bree book that's called Crown of Oaths and Curses or something, and I'm like, you can't put an oath on your head. Like, that's not a thing that you can do. It's that kind of thing. So it'll be like, why can't I think of an example? Something like, this is like the first example that kind of works that's popped into my head, but like, his eyes were grease. And it's like, well, they weren't grease, were they? Like, that's not a thing that eyes can be. And it's just a writing style that I don't enjoy. I like a bit of metaphor in my writing, okay? But not to this degree. I also don't love the narration style of Death, where like the story is being told and then like Death will pull you aside and like give a little like added bit to the text which could have been embedded in the text, and also how the timeline is jumbled through the storytelling of Death. So I'm not having the best time with that one, unfortunately. I am still going to persevere, but it's one that I can definitely like happily put down, especially this midpoint I feel is going quite slowly. And then of course, aside from that, I'm also reading The Lord of Chaos, or just Lord of Chaos, which I'm going to check my audiobooks. I am a little bit further than my bookmark. So I'm somewhere in chapter 13 right now. So I've actually read quite a bit more. I'm somewhere past like page 326 because that's the start of chapter 13. And I'm having a decent time with this one. I'm struggling because I am supposed to be on like page 450-ish. Like, that was the goal, or like where I should be to stay on track for today. And obviously I did fall behind while I was away. So I'm struggling to find times where I can listen to this and actually, you know, like make a decent amount of progress, because with me struggling to focus on audiobooks, like just in general, I have to be doing a certain kind of activity to be able to listen, and the opportunities to have that kind of activity happening like generally throughout a normal day, they're few and far between. But I finished the Patreon bookmark for December today, and so I probably listened to just under 100 pages of this today, which is pretty good going, to be fair. I am enjoying this one. I feel like we're seeing some really good character progression at this point. Like, I definitely feel like the people we're following now are different people to where they were at the beginning of this series. And I also like that some of the characters are starting to confront the irritating parts of their nature, the things that's been bugging me since book one, and kind of acknowledging that and like working on it and moving past it. I'm supposed to be making a spoiler video for this though, and I haven't started it, and I don't feel like I have anything to say that's like so profound that I would put it in a separate video. And I mean, it is a 1,000 page book, so there is time, but I do feel like at this point in the book I should have more to comment on, and I feel like nothing that's happened so far is really pivotal, although I am liking some of the perspectives that we're getting, especially some of like the Forsaken and how the plot is thickening with them, which to be honest is all things that I could say in the spoiler vlog if only I were to start it, which I might do it directly after this clip, because it's one of those things, I've said it before, spoiler vlogs, hate starting them. I will put it off for so long until there's barely any point me starting the vlog. So I'm actually going to go do that, and then I'm going to go get in the shower and wash my hair. But thanks for listening to me ramble. I thought that I didn't have much to talk about today, but based on the timestamp, apparently I did. But yeah, hopefully I'll finish The Book Thief soon, because I'm really just in the mood for something really light, really easy. I actually want to read a romance, which I haven't in a while, but with me being like so behind on Lord of Chaos, it's not really like I can't just go sit and read a romance when I need to be making progress in that. So fingers crossed The Book Thief will be finished soon and I can pick up something a little bit lighter.
We're gonna work through some resistance. every 15 seconds, you're gonna add resistance.
What are you doing? Cheeky.
If this feels like too much on your triceps, get rid of one of the weights, turn the weight to the side, and skull crush that one dumbbell with both arms.
I did once before.
For what?
Well, there was this other apocalypse this one time. Well, it took off.
What is up, you guys? I have been meaning to touch base with you since last night pretty much, but when I woke up this morning the guys were coming straight in to carry on the work in the bedroom, which is going pretty well actually. He's now like plasterboarded the bits that he was plasterboarding and primed it for plastering, and tomorrow we have the plasterers in, so I have no idea how long it takes to plaster a bedroom, but there shouldn't be anybody here, fingers crossed, on Sunday. And then on Monday the guy that's been doing all the plasterboarding and stuff is coming again to do the architraves and the skirting, and then I think it's pretty much done, just waiting a little bit to make sure that the plaster's like completely dry. I then went out this afternoon, I went to my dad's, got like body scrub on my face still that I haven't rinsed off properly. But yeah, when I got home I went straight into like making dinner, working out, and I'm now on the Buffy watch along finale with my patrons. Last night in bed just before midnight I did finish The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak, and I think you can guess that this wasn't exactly a hit with me. I assumed that I would enjoy this book more because while it's historical fiction, which isn't a genre that I typically read or enjoy, it's one of those books that kind of transcends the genre in terms of it's one that everybody kind of reads and loves and is obsessed with. And I just didn't have that reaction because the interest level in the time period just wasn't really there for me. I did cry at the end though, mainly because I was relating some of the things that happened to my own experience and like grief that I faced in the past. And I just love one character in here so much. Like one character really shone for me. So the ending was, it was sad. Like no matter which way you paint it, the ending of this was sad and I did cry. So it definitely impacted me emotionally. I think I always assumed, and my fault maybe, is that I always assumed that the scope of this story was much grander than it was. Like I thought that Liesl had much more of an impact, not an impact as such, but I thought that the plot, like the scope of the plot, was much larger than it actually is. And it is just kind of following this girl who lives in Nazi Germany during, I think it's like from 1938 to 1942, the majority of this story takes place. So it's not as like sweeping and arcing of a plot as I did expect it to be going in, and with it just being historical fiction and the slowness of it through the middle, it wasn't my favorite. So I did give it 3 stars because I do pretty much acknowledge the majority of this is a me problem. I don't like historical fiction, so I should never really have read this book, and if it wasn't for the level, I don't want to say hype, but yeah, like the level of hype surrounding this book, I would never ever have picked it up. I do think that this is a beautiful book for people who aren't me, people who like this, like literary fiction, historical fiction, people who are particularly interested in like World War II fiction. I'm sorry Renee, this was Renee's Patreon pick for I think it was July, so I was a little bit delayed with this, but I have finally checked it off the list. For Wheel of Time actually, because I have been working on this, I've only listened to a few chapters today, I listened to nothing yesterday, but I'm on page 398. Ideally at this point I should be on page 550. I kind of knew I wasn't going to be though, so this is going to be, it was going to be continuing into next week anyway, but I am going to have to like ramp up my progress with this a little bit. Speaking of next week, because we are finally at the end of this vlog, I feel like it's been going for my entire life, but next week is the Lightfall readathon, which is the mini magical readathon that is hosted by G over at Book Rose, and I will of course be participating. So that runs from tomorrow until a week on Sunday, and my main plan is, this fits very nicely for one of the prompts actually, and one of the prompts as well is to read a book that you should have read earlier in the year, which is definitely going to come in handy because that's pretty much the entirety of my December TBR. But yeah, that does bring us to the end of this vlog. This has been a weird one because it feels like a kind of an almost mundane weekly vlog in terms of reading, but then there's also like the bedroom renovations have started. I went to London in this vlog. I did my first Peloton ride in this vlog. I don't know what this vlog is. It feels like it should have been 3 vlogs if I'm being honest, but it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you made it this far, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're real go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.